The next question is from 2014. As part of its 25th reunion celebration, the class of 1988, students who graduated in 1988, a state university has held a reception on campus. In an informal survey, the director of alumni asked 50 of them about their incomes. The director computed the mean income of the 50 attendees, and it turned out to be $189,952. So in a news release, the director announced, the members of our class of 1988 are enjoying resounding success. Last year, mean income of its members was $189,952. Okay. I'm sure you already know what is so wrong with that. But again, remember, as I said before, answer the question that's being asked. What would the statistical advantage of using median to report the incomes rather than mean as the estimate of income? The median isn't affected by outliers. So one really high or really low, but in this case, since he's the director, I guess it's not a he, the director of the director of what? Oh, director of alumni development is like, hey, look how great this is. So you can assume that it's going to be on the high end. So with one mean, one large outlier could skew the whole series of salaries that way, okay? And so that would be enough to answer the question that's there. For part B, the director felt members who attended the reception may be different than the class as a whole. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing that could be wrong with this, right? So they ask you for two ideas or ask you for your ideas on two different methods. One is they're going to email everybody and ask for them to respond. They estimate at least 600 people are coming back from that. Method two is simple random sample of members of the class. They're going to call by phone. Since it takes more time, then they're only going to try to get to 100 people that way. Okay, so which of the two methods would you select for estimating the yearly average of the class of 1988? Explain your reasoning. Now, the first thing that I had them do in class, and I'm going to apologize, this isn't really written out. It was I was having them to kind of do what's good, what's bad, and then we talked about how you would write it up. So I will do the same here. So method one is biased. So people immediately jumped on. There's non-response, there's voluntary response, all of that other stuff. So there's issues there. Somebody also said, however, it was beneficial because it's a larger sample. The larger the sample size, the less variation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For method two, people were saying it's really nice because it's random sampling. But if obviously a downside is that it's a smaller size. So the question is, which one would you pick? The class ultimately picked correctly that method two would be better. Because while the sample size is smaller, the random sampling is going to cut out of a lot of bias. The other question, and I think we have an arrow down here that goes in, is the smaller sample size still big enough to take care of a whole bunch of things? 100 people is a good size. I mean, we're still bigger than 30, and you're probably going to get a rather diverse group of people out of the 6,000 plus people in the class for that. So when you go through and you say this, make sure that you mention that method two is better. It gets rid of the bias, and even though it's less people, it's still going to be large enough to be able to get a representative sampling of students, or not students, alumni from the class of 1988.